In this video, we are going to take a quick look at Edit Object Display in NX. So changing the display of my objects, just meaning edges of a body or faces, solid bodies, datum planes, things like that. Things that are actually objects in my working window and not features. We have separate commands for that, assign feature color, things like that. Features make up the objects that we're seeing. And we can change the display of those objects. We can get to this tool, Edit Object Display, in a couple of different ways. If I go up to my ribbon toolbar, I can click on the View tab, and then in the Object group, it's the only button that's currently being displayed, but Edit Object Display. You also see in parentheses there, as I hover over the tool, the command, Control-J from the keyboard will allow me to enter into editing the display of my objects. If I click on that, it's asking me or prompting me to select an object. For example, I can select the solid body of this extrude. Once that's selected, I can click OK. It takes me into the Edit Object Display dialog. In here, I can quickly change what layer it's on. So I can select a bunch of objects, enter into Edit Object Display, and throw it on a different layer. I can change the base color, the default color, say a deep green. I can change the line style. We have a lot of different things in here, dashed, phantom. So for example, if I wanted to represent this object as not really there, but this is the space it takes up in a presentation, take a screen grab, I can change my lines to phantom to kind of display that maybe the object isn't really there. We also have a translucency slider. So if I zoom in here a little bit, I can change the translucency of my parts that I can see through it. Maybe that helps me work with the opposite side of something. Or maybe I'm making a component in an assembly translucent so that I can see other aspects of my assembly without having to completely remove the component out of the way. But if I change a few things like that and click OK, I've got some objects that have changed. Now, I mentioned solid bodies, faces, edges. If I were to use a selection filter here and say change to face, face is an object, I can select a face. You'll notice that if I select an object ahead of time, I could enter in via Edit Object Display. It won't prompt me to select anything. I already have it selected. But also, if I have it selected initially, before I jump into Edit Object Display, you'll notice that I have a new tab up on my ribbon toolbar. This is the Edit Object Display General tab, and it contains most of what's in that dialog that I was just working with, where I can change the color of, say, that face. Maybe I don't want the face to be translucent, so I can change that. And then when I click away, the Edit Object Display General tab also goes away. What's nice about this avenue into my Edit Object Display command is that when I just select an object and go to my ribbon toolbar, I'm not having to deal with the pop-up menu of Edit Object Display, another menu popping up on my screen. I can just select what I want to manipulate and then go to those tools that allow me to do that on this tab. If I do need to jump into, deal with some of the settings that might be a part of the Edit Object Display command, I can jump into that tool right here, or I can still use Control-J to do so. And again, once I click away from having an object selected, then that toolbar or that tab on the toolbar disappears. So now that we know how to manipulate our geometry to display information correctly, we can do so using Edit Object Display.